Hey everybody, I figured today is time for a Design the Everything financial and goals update. Mostly just because I'm procrastinating on sandblasting. So let's start by looking at my financial breakdown here. This is a Airtable interface and has basically all of the information that I use to run Design the Everything, or at least the financials in a nutshell here. Our net 30 is at 46 bucks. I'm spending all of the money that I'm making right now to grow. Our gross 30 is up to about $1,070. So again, this is how we are keeping track of our goals. Our goal is to get this to $8,300 within a year. So we need to grow by about 8 times or double 3 times. Now, when I started the series, I used to have these in the thumbnails and I was at about $500 a month. This $1,000 number is actually what I would call typical Design the Everything. And like this is where I sit most of the time. It was just kind of a fluke that we were down at $500 when the series started. And it's nice to be back up to the $1,000 because that's where basically we cover all of our fixed expenses, plus having some extra money around for research and development, whatever else. The whole point of this series is basically figuring out how to boost that number. Right now, it is still steady state at that $1,000 because I'm not really doing that much to actively boost it in the short term. I'm focusing on the Kickstarter and the Carabiners, which are all long-term future things and won't affect that number for at least 45 days, I would say, a month and a half. Maybe actually closer to 2 months. Because it'll take at least 2 weeks to get the Kickstarter launched. The Kickstarter will then run for 30 days, and then it'll take Kickstarter another 2 weeks after that to pay me. So really, I won't be seeing a big increase in normal revenue until that happens. Though that does bring up the interesting question on how do we allocate that money to our goals if we're spending months on something and then getting one chunk of money. My goal is gross annual revenue, so it doesn't really matter when the money comes, within a 3-month period. But it does matter to my goal because I'm tracking on a rolling net 30. So I don't know, I'll have to figure out how to track that. Maybe I'll change how I'm measuring it, we'll see. Because I do plan on Kickstarters being a major part of this company. I would like to do 4 Kickstarters per year. Basically my head rationale on how I'm gonna get to this goal is I wanna do 4 Kickstarters a year that each do $20,000 in revenue, and then I'll have $20,000 left to hit my goal that'll be made up with regular product sales, consulting, white labeling, whatever other little side incomes that I have. So that's how I plan on hitting my goal. Speaking of the Kickstarter, the thing I need to be doing right now is getting the Carabiners out for product photography. 3 out of 5 of them I'm very happy with. 1 of them I'm very not happy with and I'll redo completely. And then there's the yellow one, which I'm kind of torn on. It's borderline. It's not going to a customer, it's only for product photography, and product photography will hide the mistakes on it, which in this case is basically just too much powder. So I may or may not redo this yellow one. It's really not that bad. I'll decide later. But first, let's get this orange one stripped and then recoated. The orange carabiner is sandblasted off, degreased, rinsed, and in the oven for its gas out phase. Probably shouldn't need too long to gas out, mostly just to dry it off from being rinsed. And then I'll be ready to coat again. I'm gonna do a couple things differently this time from last time. First of all, I added a distilled water rinse before I just rinsed with regular tap water, but I did notice some spotting on the parts from that, so apparently that's a no-no. I also am going to coat it at my highest KV, that is the most attractive level of powder, and hopefully it'll get a thicker coat. And then lastly, I'm gonna check the part after it is halfway cured and decide if it needs a second coat then. Because as we learned last time, if you let the part cure all the way, then the second coat doesn't stick. This way, if it needs it, I can do 2 coats right off the bat. I also went ahead and ordered a whole bunch of paint swatches, or powder swatches. both for clear coats that I can put over these colors to make them more durable, and then also to find new yellows and new oranges, just because I don't like my yellow and orange powder. Like my other colors coat fine, but the yellow and the orange, for whatever reason, are really difficult. The other carabiners should be done tumbling by now. I probably should have gotten this on video, but I was just kind of in work mode. When I pulled these carabiners out of the tumbler, they still had just a little bit left of that onion skin showing up on the back side of them. I really regret not fixing that on like the first one as soon as I noticed it. But I just need to get these done and out to product photography. So I went ahead and I re-sanded the back of them so that it's all smooth and flush. Now I'm going to re-sandblast and then re-tumble. The second sandblasting should be way quicker since I'm not, trying to sandblast off that onion skin. And we'll try this again tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's the higher voltage or the better surface prep on this one, but it is acceptable. I'm not blown away with it. There's still a little bit of like dark speckling. It'll never show up on camera, but it's not a pure orange. It's like a speckled dark orange, which honestly is really cool if that is what I was going for, but it's not. I think I'm just gonna send this one off for product photography. I need to keep moving forwards. It is close enough. For when these actually go out to customers, I will do a whole bunch of powder coating tests and I will get it perfect. But at this point, it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough, and it is more than good enough. Tomorrow morning, when the tumbled ones are done tumbling, I will get one of those packaged up along with these, and we'll get them out so that we can get the product photography done and then get moving on the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter, like the campaign, is 95% complete. It just needs the product photography stuck in there. Anyway, if you want to buy something we make, designtheeverything.com. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.